Brave, The Legends of the Emeralds by Hannah Eliot. Princess Merida raced down the palace hallway, and she always looked forward to the rites of summer all along. It was a special celebration festival that brought together friendship of the clans. This year, the Macintosh clan would be her family's honored guests, and they would be dancing in games and feats of strength. Excuse me. Feats of strength. At the docks, everyone gathered to greet their visitors. Young Macintosh stepped down from the boat, the sunlight glinting off his family crest as he tied his kilt tash. "How fancy are we?" Merida teased him. Young Macintosh grinned. "What, you don't have a crest of your own?" "No, but I have this," Merida said, showing him off her lucky charms that she had tied in her bow. "So I shall beat you at archery and to the fire falls, right? And I shall be first." And she challenged with a sly smile. "To the fire falls!" young Macintosh cried, and Merida jumped on her horse Angus, and young Macintosh followed close behind. The two reached the base of the fire falls at the same time, and they began to climb the craggy rocks. They were neck and neck as they approached the top. Merida pulled herself up. "I won!" she cried. "Barely," argued young Macintosh when he looked around. "Oh, this is a fine waterfall you got here," he remarked. "Where does all the water come from?" "I'm not sure," Merida replied. "Let's find out." Merida and young Macintosh walked to the deeper end of the forest, and they stopped short at the edge of a deep lake. "I suppose this is it?" Merida said, disappointed. "I fancied we would have an adventure, but this is just a common loch." She tried to climb a boulder to get a better look. Suddenly the boulder moved. Merida stumbled forward into a cave, and young Macintosh jumped in to follow her. But when Merida caught her balance, she gasped at what she saw. The real source of the fire falls, Merida explained, pointing to a pool of glowing water. Two large glowing emeralds were resting on the stone's edge. "Those emeralds must be lucky," she said. "Lucky?" said young Macintosh. "Those emeralds are just a symbol of power, not luck." "Everyone knows that the emeralds bring good luck," Merida scoffed. Merida and young Macintosh began to argue. Suddenly young Macintosh snatched up the emeralds. "I'm taking to this father, and then you will see how powerful the emeralds are. And the Macintosh stand will be stronger than ever." "I'll be taking the other one," Merida said, and they each put the emerald in their pouch. Neither one noticed the gems had stopped glowing. Back at the castle, Lord Macintosh assured them that the emerald was just a symbol of power. "Lord Macintosh is correct," said Queen Eleanor, but it also symbolizes power. We sometimes forget that the emeralds are the most important things. Loyalty. In ancient legends of emeralds and where we are today, she explained that there would be fighting between the clans, and the two great kings rose to power, but they placed an emerald source at the fire falls to symbolize their clans and new friendship, and as long as the fire falls remained sparkling, there would be peace. Suddenly, Dembrock's clansman raced in. "The fire falls! They're gone dark!" he cried. Everyone raced outside to look at the lightless falls. "Who has done this?" cried King Fergus. Lord Macintosh nodded. "Yes, when King Fergus finds out which one of his Dembro's clansmen did this, he will have my support." Which one of my clansmen? It was probably one of yours," said Fergus, and the men glared at each other. "Macintosh clan," Lord Macintosh commanded. "We're leaving." And young Macintosh and Merida looked at each other as everyone else went back to the castle. They have to get those emeralds back where they belonged before the friendship between the two clans was ruined. And the pair tried to climb the rocks of the cave, but with the darkened and with water, the rocks were too slippery. Suddenly, Merida remembered she saw a blue will-o-wisp, and she knew it would lead them to the destiny. The many more wisps followed, drawing Merida's eyes to the top of the falls, and she noticed it, a small tree. If only we had a little rope, Merida said. You mean like this? Young McIntosh asked, showing him a large coil. I'll throw it up so that it twists around the tree, he suggested, but he couldn't throw it forward enough. Even Merida had an idea. She picked up one of her strong arrows and pulled back the bowstring and adjusted her aim, and whoosh! The arrow flew across the sky and landed into the tree. Carefully, Merida used her rope to climb up the rocks, and when she was at the top, she tied the rope to the tree. Young McIntosh followed her up, and he was almost to the top when the rope suddenly snapped. Young McIntosh began to fall. He grabbed onto the rock just in time, and Merida reached out to give him her hand. And as she did, her pouch tipped forward, and the emerald she had carefully tucked inside plunged off the cliff. No, Merida said, and the emeralds are gone. Merida helped young McIntosh up. You saved my life, he said. Thank you. Merida and young McIntosh didn't know what to do, so they hurried back to the cave where the water of the fire falls was getting darker, and they reached the cave, and young McIntosh tried to put the emeralds back where he had found it, but it nearly toppled off the stone's edge. Merida looked concerned. Those two emeralds must have supported each other very much, she said. Where were they going to go without the other stone? The legend, Merida suddenly gasped. Each king put a stone on the edge. We've got to put something there too. She removed the lucky charm from her bow and placed it on the edge. Young McIntosh placed a small knife for a moment. The sparkling flash crackled and burst into light, but it quickly faded. Merida shook her head. It can't just be anything. It has to be something that truly matters. A young McIntosh nodded carefully and unpinned his family crest from his kilt stash and placed it on the edge, and a halo of green light surrounded the objects as they lit up in dazzling sparkles. The golden light flickered out from the edge and filled the whole cave. Suddenly, the water began to glow again, and Merida and young McIntosh raced from the cage just in time to see the firefalls turn from black into a clear blue. From the top of the falls, Merida and young McIntosh could see the docks. There, the clans of McIntosh were preparing to leave. Merida picked out her father, who was standing next to Lord McIntosh. They're probably still shouting at each other, she said with a heavy sigh. Quickly, Merida and young McIntosh raced down the falls and rowed towards the dock. Wait, young McIntosh called when they were close enough. We don't have to leave. The firefalls are sparkling again, Merida cried. The water flows beautifully, as it always has, and she explained how she and young McIntosh had been the ones responsible for ruining the falls and for fixing them again. Now there's no reasons for our clans can't stay friends anymore, Merida said, hopefully. So we don't have to leave? Young McIntosh asked his father. King Fergus and Lord McIntosh looked at each other. Of course not, exclaimed Lord McIntosh, smiling at King Fergus. Merida and young McIntosh shared a smile. By working together, they had fixed the firefalls, and the argument between their two clans from then on the rides of summer would have a more special meaning for both of them. The end.